Good morning. This is a little preamble for tonight's Sunday night chat. I shot this yesterday. Today's Sunday, yesterday was Saturday. That's the way it always works, by the way, in case you didn't know. So I did it that way because I was supposed to be doing something this morning, working, that got canceled last night. You got to roll with the punches, man. I had shot about 9 minutes of conversation on a topic, the transgender stuff with the Olympics and everything, and then yesterday I was farting around on the internet. It turns out that what I was talking about may turn out to not actually be accurate, so I got rid of that. I'm trying, man. I'm trying. You guys know I misspeak all the time in every video. I'll use an incorrect word once in a while, or I don't have any producers, no directors, no script. I'm a normal human being. I make mistakes. So you guys are used to that by now, most of you. I also have to treat every video understanding that many of you have been here before. Thank you for coming back. But potentially every video could have new eyeballs on it. So there's always a chance, and it happens every time, that there's people here who've never listened to me before, don't know where I came from, don't know what I've done. So I do that. And the problem I have with watching my own stuff is I don't like it. I don't like it because I realize I'm telling stories sometimes and it could sound like I'm bragging. Not doing that. I'm just telling you a story as it relates, and you get to learn more about my thought process in this video about me, how I want to pepper in things, and I go off on these tangents that make the story more colorful and then I go back to the point. It's like watching a movie that does that, you know. What did I watch? I'm doing it right now. I watched a movie, Kubrick film, The Killing. It had been on TCM a while ago, and I recorded, and I watched it last night with Sterling Hayden. And that's how that movie is. It goes through, but it keeps jumping back and bring you back up to date because it has all these characters, and it wants to show you what each one of these characters are doing. And that's what I do in the video all the time. I hope you understand that. This video is really kind of covering Sarah's visit mostly, and the comments under the video that I posted with her, the biking, hiking, and interview with Wonderhussy, which was pretty good. It might sound like I'm being overly critical along the lines, but I explain it well, and I'm not. Sarah's cool, man. We're cool. It was good to have her here. I told the story in that video with her where I misspoke a little bit and somebody gave me a little grief on it, so I explained that in the video. And I touch on a few other things, and then something crazy happened yesterday that I think you guys will get a kick out of, me being me. And I was prepping my stew the whole time and then putting that on, and I made a mistake and I had to go to the store. It's a crazy thing that happened. So I hope you guys enjoy this Sunday night chat. Thanks again for being here. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Enjoy this. Stick around. Crazy. Now, let's move on. This past week, so yeah, man, as you guys know, my friend Sarah came. Sorry about that. Let's start this over. All right, let's see if this works better. I don't know if it will. I put a sheet up here to diffuse the light because it's coming in kind of hard, and I just moved it up, but the wind blew the sheet, and it might happen again. I don't know. I got you like precariously balanced on a little metal piece of metal that was the end of a U-joint on my old Dodge truck. It says "Made in the USA" on it, and it's upside down, and the phone is just precariously balanced on it. I'm so pro. So, but I did move that up, so now I'm not getting that hot light on the top of my head that makes the top of my head glow like I'm an alien from another planet. Or an angel, ha, ooh, ha, ha, I was told once by a woman that reads auras that I have a golden aura and wings. I've looked it up. I don't know what I'm supposed to do about that. I think I'm doing it. Anyhow, so Sarah came into town. This was fun. It's always fun to hang out with her, but it is hard. You know, it was, the best part was that I did get to do like a kind of like a bit of an interview with her in that video yesterday. And that was fun. It was some of the questions that people ask me about her all the time. Now, I have to address some of the comments in, under that video with her, because it is interesting, and I can't help the way you think. I can't help the way you see things, the way you imagine things, the way you interpret things, the way things happen in reality and then get filtered through the prism that is your personal perspective, okay? But a lot of you are just wrong. It is funny. Like, I'll get one comment that says, I could tell by body language that you guys are not a match. And I get another one where it's like, I could tell by your body language that you guys are fucking. There's nothing going on. We're just friends. I can be friends with her. She's really funny about it. It's okay. We can have the friendship that we have because we both know that we're not interested in one another in any kind of romantic way, which makes for interesting conversation. So, because she does something in a way that, that would never work. Damn it. Once again, hang on. Let me set this up better. I'm so pro. Look. See the shelf here? That's the little hunk of metal that you're resting on right there. All right. I think I got it worked out. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. When something goes wrong, you got to figure it out. Now I got a better setup here, I think. I don't know. I can't see myself. I look into the front lens. For the other YouTubers, just so you guys know, your front lens on the camera is always a better way to go. I'm guessing. I'm trying to judge by looking at this lens whether or not I'm cutting the top of my head off or not. I hope I'm not. I don't know what's going on. Anyhow, real deal. The hell was I saying? I was talking about Sarah. Yeah, because so she does this thing, and a lot of people do this, but and I talk about this sort of thing all the time. It sounds like I'm bagging on women. Boy, how do I get into this? Because I also wanted to mention, because she points out to me all the time, like she gets people that give her grief about being friends with me. Funnily, hysterically, interestingly, she was telling about this person who had given her grief about me recently, and the person was like, I don't know why you hang out with that guy. He's like a chauvinist, all this other stuff, all this negative stuff. And I started talking to her about it because I figured, oh, that must be coming from a woman. She's like, no, that's coming from a man. And I just laughed. I'm like, a man? A man? Like that guy. A dude. Her hanging out with me. A man. A man. It's true. We don't know, right? We just went through the whole beginning, first 9 minutes or so of this video. We're just talking about this. So, supposedly a man is saying he doesn't like her hanging out with me because he thinks I'm too much of a chauvinist or all the other negative connotations, and a Republican and conservative, all these things. Like, that's a bad thing. And I'm not really a Republican. So, but anyhow, that guy, I said it's a dude? Like, that doesn't bother me at all. I mean, that's ridiculous. I guarantee you he's got a collection of pink hats. A whole bunch of pink hats hanging up in his place. Screw that guy. That's just funny to me. But I know how I come off. But look, this is who I am, man. I am based upon my upbringing, who I am, what I lived through, what I went through, what it was like to be me. You're not me. You haven't been there. You haven't done or seen the same things I have. Stop trying to think for me or understand me based on your life perspective. Your perspective is based on your experiences, period. The thing is that I'm a little bit, believe it or not, I know this is hard for many to believe, but I'm pretty empathetic. I understand where the other point of view is coming from. I can talk to it, all right? Doesn't mean I have to condone it or agree with it, but I can understand it. When I'm having a conversation with people, it's very hard. And with women, it's harder because sometimes they will, it happened in the video with Sarah, and I'll point it out. They're hearing something one way. You could see the expression on their face when you say something that they're like, nah. And then that's it. They're not listening to you anymore. They're just thinking about that. And then when they get a chance to talk, they're talking to the thought that they had in their mind without having the entire nuance, all the nuance I was trying to pepper in before I made my point so that you'll understand the point, which was another part of our conversation that we had, you know, about how, because she's like, yeah, but if I don't get in, you know, you're just going to talk for 30 minutes. Like, well, I'm trying to pepper it in. And I said to her, I said, that's the reason I like the YouTube, because I can just talk and there's nobody to stop me. And I can just get my point out. And apparently you guys are liking it because you're watching, right? So, you know, she gets that. But if it's a woman, you've got to deal with that. And it's like, if it's a dude and he does, you can be like, hey, motherfucker, shut the fuck up and let me get to the, you know, and two guys can kind of get into it in a way where it's okay. But when a woman upsets you, you have to do the other thing. So, and also in that, you'll see, I think I did a pretty decent job of interviewing her, where I let her, because she was being kind of ridiculous at some point, for fun. I think strictly for the entertainment. Because I'm trying to ask her about her safety and things, and she's trying to answer it in a funny way. And I'm trying to ask her a question, and she's spinning the question in a way because she, you know, in her mind, she's like smart. It's one of the things I like about Sarah is she's pragmatic. We don't agree on a lot of things about the world necessarily, at least initially. But then if I talk to her long enough on that point, she concedes. Like, she'll see the logic I'm making. And I do that with a lot of people. So I have that kind of patience. You see it. Because I'm asking her about it, and she's making funny jokes, and then I was asking her about, I said, like, with the Forerunner, you're out there, people know, and she starts going into, well, you know, most people with these don't do all those things. Most people don't do this. Well, those aren't the people I'm talking about. You know what I'm trying to get to. How about we just get to that, right? And so that's the sort of thing, like, for the video, it's fun. It's fine. You have to let somebody speak and be themselves. You can't be cutting them off all the time. So that was fine. That's what I did. Just let her roll. But in real life, like with a relationship with somebody and friends, it's hard. I don't have the patience for that kind of shit. It's funny because we were talking about, I wish I would have gotten this part of the conversation on film, because she and I were talking about relationships and, you know, what your wants, needs, desires, all those sorts of things. And I was telling her, it was so funny. We were walking down the mountain, and you know, like, what's the type of person you would want, you know? And she's like that. The guy that, I forget his name, but the guy that played for Nirvana, she said, because I pointed him out to her earlier in the day. Renaissance man. I'm a Renaissance man. Same thing. I've done a lot of different things in my life, and I read and I write and I make this stuff. I build cool shit and I think things out, and I'm pragmatic, and I have over 1,000 videos of me talking about all kinds of things. So, and I've done a lot. I've been to a lot of places. I've been to Europe a lot. Travel alone a lot of, yeah, I'm an interesting human being. I get it. I don't think there's that anything special about me. I just made life choices that allow me to do those things. But, you know, some people, and I'm not talking about Sarah here, by the way. I'm speaking in general terms. Especially women, can be a little bit delusional about things. But we were talking about it, and I told her, I said, you know, like, I like Jersey girls, right? But most of them are ball busters. You know, I wasn't talking about Sarah at all at that moment, but the point is, I don't want to be with a ball buster. Somebody's busting your chops all the time, nonstop. Like, you can't even have a conversation without it being that. I want to get to the point on something. You know, I mean, I talk enough as it is, as you guys know. I mean, most of you would want me to get to the point. So if you're cutting me off constantly with busting my chops, that's only going to prolong it, and I might not ever get to the point. And for me, that's very frustrating. So, and I told her, I said, like, I like the kind of women who are almost annoying with their outlook of positivity. My mom was a bitch on wheels, man. The constant with the berating of my father and everything else. I don't want to be around that. Don't want to be around it. If I wanted to be yelled at and berated, I would have stayed in the Marine Corps, and I would have, gotten out eventually. I would have been living in Jersey, and I would have married a Jersey. Sorry, Jersey girls, you're not all like that, but you know what I'm saying. Like, I know women back home, they think it's like some sort of endearing quality to be a ball buster. We enjoy it as dudes, like especially when you're out drinking and it's fun and you're one of the bros, which Sarah is. But to be married to it, or have a serious relationship with it, screw that, man. That's way too much for me. That's too much energy on stuff that's... I want to be in a loving, nice relationship where you respect each other. You can bust each other's chops, obviously, but the constant non-stop of it is just too much for me. I don't have it. I don't want it. And especially because, like, if that becomes an established narrative or way of doing things, how does that work in public? Right? I don't want to be having you bust my balls in public. That is for sure. And I'm not going to do that to you either. It's different when you're around friends, people you know or have known for a long time. That's different. You understand what I'm saying? So that was an interesting thing. There was a point there where we were talking, and I don't know, I've only watched it once. I should have watched it again before I decided to do this video. But I say in the videos, towards the end, and I'm sitting down and she's kind of behind me, and I didn't even have to, by the way, I didn't have to ask her any of these questions really, because I knew the answers already. But when I asked her about the pits and how I thought, like, hey, is that like she used the term litmus test, and it was, and I knew that already, and I point out that that's what my beard is about. I said, before I said anything else, I said, listen, I don't think I'm the best looking dude out there. I know that for a fact. I am not. Never thought I was. But I know I'm not the ugliest person out there. Right? And look, I am. I know. I'm talking about looks right now. Oh, you're so shallow. No, I'm talking about looks because we all notice them. All right? Stop with that shit. All right? If somebody likes people that are attractive and fit and have a figure, they're shallow. No. That's just what they're attracted to. They're not attracted to fat. Okay? It's fine. If you want to be fat, you make life choices, that's fine. That's your decision. I don't have a problem with that. That's your life. If we're friends, I'm going to bring it up once in a while because I want you to be around longer and I want you to be as healthy as you can be from now to the last day of your life. You understand what I'm saying? That's all. Being fat is a whole other conversation. I might even get into it here because it bothers me. Because there's no excuse for it other than like laziness. Like, okay, I get it. You went through some trauma. You're using food as a tool, a coping mechanism, comfort. Losing weight and getting fit is actually pretty stinking easy. There's nothing to it. It's just about a little bit of discipline, making life choices about your future, like what's left of it. Do you want to be on? I don't know. We're going off onto a tangent here. I said to the camera, I don't think I'm the best looking guy, blah, blah, blah. And then we get into, I grew the beard because when I was clean shaven, women wanted to go at me because they thought I was good looking. That's not me saying I think I'm good looking. That's just the reality of the situation. Like, I don't think all women like me or think I'm attractive. I've never thought that, and I don't say that. However, and if there's any of my bros out there watching this who were there and watched me come up, you know what the reality of the situation is. There is a percentage, a pretty high percentage of women out there, men too apparently, who do think I'm attractive. And I've had these crazy reactions going all the way back to grade school. It is bizarre. I remember being in kindergarten and first grade with girls, chasing me around the classroom and trying to kiss me and all that stuff. It's really weird. I remember by the time I was in junior high, my mom had a couple girlfriends that were always like coming up to me and touching me and telling me how attractive they thought I was. It's crazy, man. And so, like, I knew there was something to that, but I didn't understand it because I was just, like you, like everybody else, like, I'm just trying to get my way through this world. What's going on? Where's this energy coming from? Why do you want this from me? And that's why I made that comment about being like the hot blonde, you know? Because there's a lot of attractive people out there. You can't control how you were born, like what body you were born into. I mean, your parents kind of made that determination for you. But, you know, you got to work with what you got, right? And you have to learn how to deal with it. So that's what I did. But I'm just saying, that was my life. That's the way it is. And there's many, many times where I'm just sitting there and a woman comes up. It's a funny story. I hope she's watching. Her name is Dawn. She's a real sweetheart. I went home to Jersey several years ago, and Facebook was showing her to me, so I kind of knew who she was. I saw her out. I was at Cleve's with my buddy George. I hadn't seen George in decades. And I saw this girl there, and I waved to her because I recognized her. I sent her a friend's request, and then I forgot about it. No big deal. And then I went back, I don't know if it was the next year or 2 years later, and there's a hotel in town called the Windjammer, which, believe it or not, like, I never went to the bar in there, like, the whole time I lived there. I only started going there the last few years when I was going home because they got a really cool happy hour and everybody I know hangs out in there. So it's pretty cool. It's like a reunion of sorts whenever you're in there. For me, it's a big deal because I don't go home very much. And I go there with my buddy Jody, and we're hanging out. We go to the bar, and there's this girl. Really, it happens to be this girl because she's blonde, blue eyes, really, really pretty. And she's like, there's people between us, and she's at the bar, and she's looking at me like, you know, she's doing this whole, and I'm like, hi, you know. And I looked at her, I said, well, do I know you? And she's like, no. And I said, well, let me get this drink, and then I'm going to get to know you. Because she was coming on strong, man. She had a little buzz going, you know. And so I get my drink, I go over, we start talking, and it's very, like, the way it used to be. That was such, thank you, Dawn. That was such a great night because it was, like, being in my 20s again. At the shore, because that's what it always used to be like. You would just see somebody, she's looking at you, hi, boom, they're into you right from the jump, and it's just like, that's awesome. Because that was my life. That was my life, my whole life. Now I'm old and I don't go out anymore, so it doesn't happen. When it does happen, I'm like I don't even know how to react to it. I had a girl walk up to me in the Ralph's, maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And I walk in, I'm just my typical hobo chic look, right? T-shirt, the cargo shorts, the work boots. And I walk in, I noticed her, she noticed me, she's looking at me, and she's literally looking at me head to toe, does a circle around me. And she goes, I like this. And I go, well, I like that, thank you. Like, I'm, you know, while I seem to some of you overconfident and whatnot, usually... I'm not at all. When I'm walking around in public, I don't walk around that self-assured when it comes to this anymore because it doesn't happen anymore. I'm not practiced in that way of thinking. So we're talking, and we talked for quite a while, and I mean, she's touching me, and it's nice. She's clearly very attracted to me, and she's very attractive to me. So that's a normal thing. And I felt a little guilty because I left my friends, right? So we're talking for 10 minutes or 15 minutes. So I'm like, listen, I got to get, you know, back to my friends. They had a table out on the balcony there. So I go out there. I'm sitting there. My friend Erin, who sadly passed away last year, last fall, still a bummer. Every time I see posts from her or, you know, whatever online, it's a bummer. It really still affects me. But she was there. My buddy Jody was there, and one of her girlfriends, who I don't recall her name. And so we're sitting there having a good time, and this girl who I just met at the bar comes out. She sits down next to me, and it's on, man. It's like she's, I mean, you know, rubbing the leg, coming up the inner thigh. I end up getting a friggin' erection, which was awesome because that doesn't happen anymore. You know, like that scenario. That, again, used to happen all the time, sometimes several times in a day with different people. I worked on the boardwalk, I worked in nightclubs, all these things. So it was really, really cool. And it was so funny because she said, everybody, and by the way, she had a little bit of a buzz going. everybody at the table could hear our conversation, but we're having a conversation as if nobody else is there. And she says to me at one point, she says, I'm not going to fuck you tonight. And I said, well, what are you doing tomorrow night? You know, so anyhow, we actually ended up, you know, nothing crazy, but we became pals that night and still talk now. And we hung out a little bit when I was home, and it was awesome. But that's what I'm saying. That is the sort of thing I'm used to happening just from the way I came up. And again, it doesn't really happen now. And it doesn't, the main reason it doesn't happen now is just because I don't go out. When I go out, you know, there's still that sort of thing that can happen. I like that. That's, to me, that's what I know. That's the way I always want it to be. You see somebody, there's a physical attraction. That's how it starts, people. Again, going back to your judgments of, hey, the way somebody looks shouldn't matter. That's fucking stupid. Stop saying that. It's the dumbest thing you can say. If you take the time to get to know somebody and then you end up liking them as a human being, yes, you will absolutely see them more physically attractive if you like who they are. 100% the truth. But when you don't know somebody, the first thing is their looks. And to deny that, you're lying. You're lying to yourself. And if you're lying to yourself, you're probably lying to other people, and you're a pathetic human being. I'm just saying. Anyhow, yeah, that was a fun thing. Oh, there was a point in the video where I guess I kind of misspoke. Somebody hit me on it. He's like, oh, you're fucking dreaming, man. You didn't save anybody if his friends were there, blah, blah, blah. So it was a story. So I'm going to tell you that story. And I've told this before when I've been hiking up there, so it probably is on YouTube already. But I'm going to tell it in all the details that I can recall. And this goes all the way back to about, it's probably 18, 19 years ago. I was with this girl whose name happened to be Sarah. A blonde, blue-eyed girl. Nice little figure on her. She was very attractive. I'll tell you how I met her. I used to ride motorcycles with this group of guys called the Cretans here in LA. I wasn't going to join. I don't join clubs. I've mentioned this before. I think like 3-patch clubs and all that. I've been asked, you know, by members of most of the 3-patch clubs you've heard about. If I've been around them, and I have, somebody has always come up to me, talked to me for a little bit, and then suggested I prospect with them. That's crazy. My answer's always been the same, which is, look, man, you guys invent your own bullshit and then you believe it, and I'm not playing that game. I'm not going to live by somebody else's rules. My personal take, I understand the camaraderie of it, the friendship, common interests and all that, but I'm my own man. I think my own thoughts, I do my own stuff, and I'm not going to be curtailed by somebody else's ideas of how I have to behave, things I can and can't do, things I can and can't say. That's why I'm against all this bullshit that's going on now with politics and everything, and the woke nonsense, and the way I started this video. It's bullshit. All right. So that's why I never joined a club. But this particular club I never joined, but this guy was running it at the time. The president at the time was Eric, really good guy, also a veteran, Navy vet. He used to say that me and this other guy, Nick, were the only 2 honorary Cretans, which was cool because they had an awesome clubhouse. And I didn't really take advantage of that too much. But yeah, look, if I wanted to go behind the bar and make a drink or do something, I just did it. Nobody gave me shit about it. It was pretty cool. And we were out one night. We used to go to like these, every week there was a bar to meet at. Some of the best times, man. Really great people, a lot of laughs. A little dangerous riding with these guys because they'd get, you know, some alcohol in them. We go cruising through the city. We get on the 10 or the 101 and to get to one town to the other, and the city streets, and it's nighttime again, alcohol, and there's zip, 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 and it's legal to split lanes here, so it's sketch. And almost every guy I know in that group crashed at one time or another. The nice thing about it was, like when I had my accidents, those guys were aces, man. They come by, people take up collections, they help you with your bills and your rent, and everything. They do everything they can to get you back on a bike. It's a family. It was a very nice thing. I love a lot of those guys. Love you guys, man. A few of them don't like, still to this day, would like to break your friggin' jaw. You know who you are. It's one of the reasons why I stopped hanging out with them. Anyhow, we used to go to this place called the Bigfoot Lodge. Still there, I'm sure. And this girl was in there one day. And this was when, like, I used to have business cards. And it's a cool looking business card. Didn't I see one floating around here? I'm not going to get it right now. You know what my logo looks like. I wish I had one. Well, here's one burned into a piece of wood, but I actually had a business card like this at one time. So, yeah, I think that's, you guys can see that. So, God, she was hot, and she had that kind of, and I like that rockabilly vibe, and that was really big back then. I think it probably still is. I don't go out enough now, like I was saying, to know anymore. She was dolled up, man. Really, really cute. So I couldn't resist, you know. And I, at this point, too, I felt I was like 10 years older than most of those people at that time. And which always made me feel a little weird. But I figured, what the hell? I was talking to her a little bit. She was real sweet. Seemed receptive. I gave her a business card. One thing led to another. We started dating. And we had this little romance for, I don't know, several months. It was pretty good. She had this little dog that she used to like to sleep in bed with, which I couldn't stand. So that was a thing. I don't like sleeping with animals. I think that's weird. And then when she stayed over, I was the one that would walk the dog in the morning. I mean, I like the dog. I just don't want it in bed with me. So... Also, she was a pretty hardcore liberal, unfortunately, for me. I don't care if that's your thing, but if we have a discussion and I'm using logic and facts and I'm making sense and you're still choosing to take that side in the face of reality, that's the end. But we stayed friends. And she liked trying to stay in shape and all that stuff. So she was a good hiking partner. So we would get together from time to time and go for a hike. We weren't screwing at that time. I can actually be friends with people like Sarah and not have sex with them. Not even think about having sex with them because I don't like them in that way. Yeah, believe it or not, I'm an evolved man. I might sound like a freaking caveman to some of you. I'm okay with being called a caveman. It doesn't really bother me. So, we were hiking this one day. I'm getting to the story. See what I do here? I'm all over the place. This is why it's hard for people to talk to me in 3D. I get it. That's why I don't get too upset, really, when people cut me off. So we hike up to the top where I took Sarah. And this is not something I do often, but that particular day, I did have some grass with me. So we hemped it up a little bit when we got to the top of the hill there. And then we were coming down, and we walked past this space where I talk about where I saved this dude. Now, when you saw it that time, or we didn't really point it out when we went up and we walked past it, and I was fucking sucking wind the other day, man. I had gone out with Sarah the night before and did some drinking, and I'm not big on booze, and so I just wasn't my best self at that time. And I'm going to get to my knee and everything else too. I wish you were here because you can remind me to get to that before this video's over. Anyhow, now when you get past that spot, there's a chain link fence there. And when you look down, it's all overgrown with plants and everything. 19 years ago, there was no chain link fence, and there was no plants, hardly at all, there. And there's a section that's vertical. Now, I don't really know if the guy was with friends. I think he might have been, but they weren't there. So either he was or he wasn't. Maybe he wasn't. But the point is we're walking down. We're coming off the mountain. As we walk by, we're talking, we're laughing. He hears us and starts yelling for help. Help. And I don't hear it. Sarah heard it. Again, not Sarah Wonderhussy. Sarah, ex-girlfriend at the time, cute blonde. This is the one I'm talking about. She goes, Mike, did you hear that? I listen. I hear, help, help. It's like I just had that flash from The Fly. Help me. Help me. Help me. Help. You remember that? The fly at the end, the fly's got the human head. What a creepy friggin' scene that was. That friggin' shit will haunt you for the rest of your life. What are they doing to us? Anyhow. So, oh shit. God damn it. I forgot to get sauce. Motherfucker. I'm gonna have to make this, put my paste in, and then leave to go get sauce. Fuck. God damn it. It's always something. All right, I'll think about that in a moment. That's the last step in this anyhow. So as I was saying, help me, help me, help me. I go to the edge, I look down, and I see this guy, and he's on the vertical part, and he's stuck there. He's just clinging on there, and he's looking up. He's like, help, can you help me? And I'm like, fuck, I gotta help this guy. I can't leave him hanging there. And Sarah's all like, we should call the police. And I you know, calculated that in my mind instantly. Like, if we call the cops, you know how long it's gonna take them to get up here? There's probably gonna be helicopters and noise and dust, and we gotta stay here and wait. It's not like we could be like, hey, we just called for help, we'll see you later. You know what I mean? I didn't have that kind of time. And you know, like, I figured I could help this guy out. So, and she's telling me not to do it. She's scared. She's like, Mike, it's too dangerous. You know, both of you could get killed or something. And it's a pretty good, it's got to be a couple 100 feet. It could be 300 feet or more from that road to down at the lower section. By the way, keeping in mind, when you're at the lower section looking up, you're on the middle. There's three parts to this hike. There's a first part with some switchbacks. It's pretty vertical. You get to a T in the road. It's a dirt road. You make a left, and that section is pretty flat. But it goes around the mountain, alongside the mountain like this. You got to a point, you come back. There's a lot of blind curves is what I'm getting at. And at this point, you're looking up where we were when we saw him. That's the third part. That's after you get to the paved road, and it's real steep, and it comes up, and it comes back up around, and just before you get to the ridge line where you can see the valley, that's where this guy is. That's where you're looking over. So when I told the story in the video with Wonderhussy, don't want to get the Sarahs mixed up, from that point to that point is probably a mile or so that you would have to walk around all these points. So even if he had friends and he decided to do what he did, they wouldn't have been there for a while. Now that I think about it, I don't think he actually had friends, because I went down to help him and Sarah continued down the path and then ended up meeting me down on the trail. And I don't remember her saying that she passed anybody. So I think I've been misspeaking for years when I tell the story. I think the guy was probably by himself. That's what makes the most sense. So he was hiking along and he thought, oh, I'll just go up there. It'll be a shortcut. That's the mistake he made. I mean, this guy was scared. I've seen it before in people. You might have seen it. Frightened beyond, you know, it's just, he was really frightened. So what I ended up doing was, I said, look, calm down. I'm going to get down to you. I've got experience with this sort of thing. I was in the Marine Corps. I know what I'm doing. Just anything I could say to try to make him feel confident in my ability to help him. At this point, I understood it was a psychological thing. You have to do that. You have to get people under control mentally and calm them down. So I did it. I get down to him, and he's just like, oh, I don't know. You know, he's just, the guy's scared out of his wits. And as I said, he's Irish. So he's got this strong Irish accent. And I talked to him. I said, here's what we're going to do. And I explained it to him, and I'm looking down. By the way, this is the sort of thing where, like, imagine you're at the beach, and you dig a little hole in the sand, and you put an ant in there, and you try to watch an ant crawl out. And he walks up, but the little pebbles of sand keep falling back on him. He keeps falling to the bottom. That's the predicament that you're in here. Because there's no solid rock. It's like small gravel. It's the sort of rocks where you grab them and they come right out in your hand. It's a dangerous, precarious situation. That's why he got frozen there. He got to a point where he was scared to try to get back down, and he couldn't move back up anymore. And he told me he had been there for quite some time. I think he'd been there for about an hour. So you can imagine being frightened for an hour, clinging to the side of a friggin' cliff. When I was going down to him, I dislodged a rock that was between the size of a bowling ball and like a large grapefruit. It's a good size rock. And I said, look out, you know, and he just went like this, and it went right by him. It could have hit him right in the head. And that wasn't cool. But he was fine. And so I get down to him, I explain everything, and then I got him off of there. I said, look, here's what I'm going to do. I want you to look at me. Don't look beyond me. Don't look at anything else. Watch where I put my hands. Watch where I put my feet. And I go down 10 feet or so. Then he would get to there, and I was below him. He did slide at one point, and I caught his heel to keep him from going anywhere. I had good purchase at that point. That's what I would do. I got down to a certain point where I had pretty good purchase, and I knew I wasn't going to slide. Apologize for the background noise. I don't know what that is. So anyhow, I got him down, and he was just so happy to have gotten out of that situation. So that's that story. It's a true story. I do have a witness. I suppose I could talk to her. I think I looked her up not long ago. Just every once in a while somebody pops into my head, and I'm like, you look them up on social media. I think she's got a kid, and she got married. Good for her. That guy's probably got a collection of pink hats. She had a huge problem with Sarah Palin, I remember. I was like, whatever. It's always funny to me. It doesn't matter whether I like somebody or don't like them. The thing that bothers me is when I know people and we talk about stuff, and I know that they've been affected mostly just by media. Like they're allowing the media to control their belief systems of any particular person. So, anyhow, you know what? I think that background noise might be a little bit much for you guys. I think I might have to shut this off. I've probably talked long enough. I think that's enough for today. There was a couple other things I wanted to touch on. Let me think about it and see if that noise goes away. So don't go anywhere. At the very least, I'll be signing off. Hang on a second. I just had an incident. If there's a knock on the door and it's the cops, holy crap. Well, first of all, I just got back from buying this too. $3.19. This used to be like $1 or less. Sometimes you get 2 for $1. Bidenomics. All right. I just had a crazy... I don't want to talk too loud. I just had a crazy... We got this... Well, it's Los Angeles. Most of my neighbors are crazy. There's a woman who lives here who... I mentioned her before. She tried to kill herself a year or more ago. She jumped off a bridge onto a highway, the 101, and she lived, unfortunately, because she's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, man, and it didn't knock any sense into her. She, like you would think, or hope, holy crap. I drive the end of my driveway, and I need to make a right. But she's got this vehicle, and she's just blocking the road with her hazards on. And I don't know that she's not in it. I don't say anything. I know who I'm dealing with as soon as I see that car. As soon as I see anything with her, I know what I'm dealing with, so I just keep quiet, let it roll, because you never know what you're dealing with. She's just, her favorite thing is to call people the C word. Ladies, your least favorite word. And normally I would just say it, but I curse enough here as it is, and I'm trying to keep things slightly tamped down. The hazard's on, so I pull out a little bit, and I'm waiting, and she comes down the stairs, and she just starts freaking out. Like it's my fault that I want to go someplace, and you know what I'm getting at here. She's like, all this shit, and I yelled at her. I said, "What the fuck is your problem?" She just, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, "Hey, I can't believe I said this either." I said, "Look, you need one of two things. You either need an ass kicking or an ass fucking, either of which will straighten you right the fuck out." And I'm willing to do either for you. And she just fucking... And I just started laughing at her. She called me the C word. She got in her car and she drove away. And then I just got back and I'm driving down. Oh, man. I pulled down my street and there's a cop car sitting in front of my building. And they saw me coming and they were blocking the driveway, so they pulled up so I could turn in. So I almost expect a knock on the door. I can't believe they would get there that quick, though, because I got to the store and back in, like 10 minutes. So that wouldn't work, right? Unless maybe somebody could have heard that and called the police and they got there that quick. But that was friggin' nuts. Anyhow, an ass fucking or an ass kicking. Either one of which will straighten you out. I don't know where this shit comes from, man. It's just there. Spices. So, I'll just get back to Sarah being here, and, You know, she got here, I have to talk about this because my knee kind of went out on me, it's never happened before. And it's so funny with her. She talks about, and she was saying this the whole time, she underestimates my physical ability, which is weird, but then my knee goes out and it plays right into her belief system already, which is kind of fucks me up. I don't like that at all. But I used to be an avid cyclist and always rode a bike, and I used to commute to the back and forth to my shop daily on the bicycle, and twice a day. I'd ride there in the morning, come home for lunch, ride back after lunch, ride home. You know, getting 10 miles a day on the bike, and that's really good for you. A bicycle is the fountain of youth. But I haven't been doing that, and I've actually been laying around a lot. I've been just watching YouTube and stuff like that, and not exercising the way that I should be. And you have to use it, or you're going to lose it. So we did this bike ride, and the bike I had, that orange 1952 Schwinn, is geared pretty high. I've got a 46-inch sprocket on the front and 16 on the back, so that's hard for most people to pedal. I had Sarah on a 46-18, which is man gearing for the old Schwinns. Female gearing for the old Schwinns is 46 up front, 19 on the rear, sometimes a 20 on the rear. Makes it easier to pedal that way. Anyhow, I overdid it, and I felt it. I told her when she got here that day when we were riding the bikes. I think she was here on Wednesday. She was supposed to be here Tuesday. She didn't show up till Wednesday, and she was going to stay till Friday, but we'll get into that. So when we did the Hollywood sign hike, with all the climbing and everything, especially coming down the way I did, I basically just did something to the knee. So I didn't wrench the knee, I didn't twist the knee, nothing like that. There's no injury, there's no instability issues at all. It was just fatigue. It's like, because there's no swelling, no discoloration, no bruising. It was just impact related and strain. I just strained the tendons and ligaments on the anterior part of my knee while I was cycling. And then the next day I pushed it even harder by doing the hike. That's why. And it's because I haven't been doing it enough. What this tells me is, see, a lot of you guys would go through the pain and then you'd stop exercising. That's not the kind of pain this is. As painful as it was to walk, it was very painful. Very, very, very painful, especially when we went back, which is something I got to talk about. You know, we hike up to the Hollywood sign, and she starts giving me this grief in a way that I couldn't understand. She's like, we're behind and above the Hollywood sign. That's no good. I want a view from the front. And I'm like, what are you talking about? First of all, I've done a lot of videos on me doing the Hollywood sign hike, and I've talked to you about it before. And there's pictures I've posted before, and that's the hike. That is the only Hollywood sign hike. I'm like, what the fuck what are you talking about? That's what it is. I need it from the front. Like, okay, calm down. We'll just drive over there and you'll get that now. But in the video, she's making me out to look like a dunce. And that's the thing. Now, that's her humor, and that's fine, and it doesn't bother me because we're friends. And I also understand the way that is for YouTube, and it's more entertaining. I don't really like being put in that position because I didn't do anything wrong. And that's a thing that some people have, right? And she'll do this. And again, this is not me picking on her. I love her. We're friends. I told her this, actually. So it's just like this perspective of my way of thinking is the way it is, and I think I'm right. You know, and anybody else. And it was funny because when we went to eat, it got cloudy and it actually drizzled, and she was like, see, if we would have went later, we would have been hiking in this instead of hiking in the sun and the heat. And I'm like, how the hell? You couldn't have predicted that. It wasn't in the weather report that at our time when we were going to eat lunch, it was suddenly clouds were going to come. That was not in the weather report. It was supposed to be like in the 90s, and that's what it was. And because she doesn't like getting up early. That's really what it boiled down to. And the thing I was trying to explain to her, which she saw with her own eyes, is when you want to do that hike, you want to get there early for a bunch of reasons that all make sense. Number one, parking. Number two, people. All right, the later you go, the more people there are you have to navigate around. And these days, when you're navigating around people on a hike anywhere, you're more than likely going to run into people that are kind of walking at your pace with boom boxes, listening to shit music. So I wanted to avoid that for her. I was thinking about her. And temperature during the day and air quality. So, smart thing to do if you have a brain is go as early as you can get up there, and get it in and get it over with. You'll have cooler temps, you'll have better air quality, you'll have less people, all the positives. That's why you do it. But she didn't like that. But yeah, she was throwing that crazy nonsense at me. It was kind of funny. She cracks me up, man. That was a funny thing, too, when I was talking about the ball busting thing. She's like, well, I'm a ball buster. I said, yeah, I know, obviously. But we're friends, so I can handle you being a ball buster. That's why we're not romantic. There's no freaking way, man. There's no way I could deal with that shit. So it was just funny. But we got up there, and then when we're coming down, my knee started acting up on me a little bit. And especially, you'll see it because it's during the interview section. All of a sudden, when I walked and I stepped, I get this really, really bad pain. It was more like when I went to lift my foot and put my foot forward was when I hurt it the most, and then put a little bit of weight on it. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't an instability thing or anything like that. If I locked my knee and walked like I had a limp, it didn't hurt. So it was just a little bit of flex with the knee and putting weight on it. And when we went to eat, I was walking funny and all that. And that was awesome, by the way. We went to this place called Birds, which I was there when that place opened. I don't remember the girl's name. Maybe it was Mary or something. Great story. She was a waitress, and she ended up dating this rich guy, old rich guy, and he literally bought her this place so she could have her own restaurant, bar. And it's great. And that place, I don't go anymore regularly because, I mean, it's just expensive to eat out, really. That's what it boils down to. But when I'm up there, I like to go there because of the memories. And it used to be called the Tamarind Theater. And matter of fact, I did a bunch of plays for Donnie Most. Remember him? He was Ralph Mouth on Happy Days. He was producing a lot of theater back then, and I was designing and building sets, and I was acting, and I would do everything. I do lighting and sound. I had a couple funny stories from that. But anyhow, the theater's still there, but now it's like a comedy thing. And we met this great waitress. I think her name was Amanda. Big blonde chick. Funny, really great sense of humor. Matter of fact, Sarah even gave her one of her little packages of... I got some in here. Her magic beans. They come in this little package here. And so she was super cool. And I told her, so I'm coming back just to hang with you. And she's like, yeah, but I think I might check that theater out because I've been wanting to do that comedy thing, and that's probably what I need is to just do a workshop just to be like, okay, I got this. It was funny back in the day when I studied acting in Beverly Hills, Nick Conti's Actors Lab. That's all I needed. I just needed that, like, to build that confidence of knowing what I'm doing, and then it was pretty easy for me. So that's what I need to do with this. Make a few... Oh, no, I bought the wrong thing. God damn it. Well, we're going to make this work. I bought whole tomatoes instead of tomato sauce. Talking to you guys and having that incident that happened to my stupid, ridiculous, retarded neighbor. God damn it. All right. Anyhow, I'm going to end this here. Let's wrap this up. So... we had a great meal. Everything was cool. And we came back, and she was looking at the weather, too, because she asked me if I'd hike with her to this abandoned miners' cave, kind of west of here, out in Altadena, that area. And because it was going to be in the 90s on Friday, she was like, I don't want to do that, because it was pretty hot for her. And also I had said, well, look, I have to work Monday. My knee is in pain. I don't think it's smart for me to overdo it and do another crazy hike just in case, because I got to go to work. Right? I can't take that chance. And so she calculated all that out. She goes, oh, you're right. You know, I don't really want to go in that heat either. And so she chose not to do that hike. And she said, well, if I'm not going to do the hike, I'll just go now. So that was fine. So she wasn't here. So she left Thursday. And that was awesome. But it's always great to see Sarah. I love her. If anything I said here sounds bad, like I was putting her in a bad light, that you're taking it the wrong way. Not at all. Just telling it like it is. Everything I've said to her, and we've discussed it, and she said things to me. Like, you know, that's what friends do. You say things to one another, and you work through it, and that's how you become better friends. It's totally normal and fine. So... but she's going to have this thing. It's November 2nd in Tacopa. and she would like me to be there. It was a funny thing. I talked to her sister when I drove out to Pahrump for Patricia to deliver that table last month, and she was telling me, because they'll let me, they have this fifth wheel, like a trailer down there, and she's let me stay there a few times already. Because they said there's something wrong with the toilet in there, but they've let other people stay there too, so it's not like they're blaming me for anything, because I didn't do anything weird in their toilet. But it's a septic issue with it. So I told her sister, and I told Sarah, so, well, if you need help with that to clean it out, I'll do it. I mean, I stayed there. I'd help you out with that. Why wouldn't I? I've helped them out with plenty of stuff. So maybe I'll stay there and help them clean that out. But I'm also thinking in terms of, and I'm not even sure I'm going to go, but if I do go, I want to make that determination soon and call around. And maybe I can get a room in town, hopefully relatively inexpensively, especially if I book it this far in advance. Because I figure if I'm going to be there for the 2nd of November, August, September, October, November, that's a Saturday. So I would probably drive out on a Friday. So Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night is probably what I would do. So 3 nights and then drive back on Monday. That's probably what I would do. So I'd need to get a room probably for a few nights. And that costs me money. But you know what? I've been thinking about that. It's nice that she puts me up like that. It's always nice. Like when she slept here, not a problem. And that's what I do with a lot of friends. I'll stay at their pads, or if they come to LA, they stay at my pad. But if I'm going to be there for a few days, if I have my own room, it's just probably nicer because there'd be air conditioning and all that sort of thing. And it might be more fun because when people come to that, if they're going to stay in town, it'd be nice for me to be able to just, you know, walk someplace or whatever. Maybe I'll bring a bike with me this time and ride a bike and meet up with them at some place for drinks and go to my own place. Maybe people want to come back to the room and hang out for a bit. I might be open to that. Just depends. So just putting that out there. I thought of something while I was saying that, and then it jumped out of my brain. At any rate, I think I'll just let it go with that. This is the end of this video. It's all over the place. What a freaking crazy day. I guess they're not coming for me. But the police are very used to dealing with this crazy person. So maybe they're just dealing with her right now. Oh my God, crazy. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for being here. I hope you enjoyed it. Oh, I was going to say this. Sarah mentioned this to me because she has a whole description. You'll notice in my descriptions, a lot of times there's videos, there's nothing in the description. Then there's a lot of you guys that want to help out. I got to thank Jim. Dude, you're always sending me watches and whatnot. That's cool. Oh, I got the t-shirt. It's such a nice thing, man. This guy's so cool. He sent me this t-shirt right up my alley, right? Thanks, Jim. I got it. But people are always offering to send me stuff, and they ask me if I'm going to do Patreon and all that, and I appreciate it. I don't ask. Oh, God, how can I forget this? Sarah helped with the money finally. Now, a couple issues. First of all, I'm probably going to do a separate video on this. This is a long video. I apologize. So the issue with me getting paid from YouTube was I had to sign out of YouTube and sign back in on the other account that's connected with the banking. That's all I had to do. She pointed that out. Once I did that, I followed the instructions. Everything worked out. I did my tax info. I did my banking account number and routing number. That night, they sent me a deposit for 88 cents. I confirmed it. Here's the thing. YouTube was holding, or AdSense was holding, over $7,800 of money that I earned over all this time. And as soon as I hit the OK button, it went to zero, and I have still not received that money. So I'm hoping it's just taking time to process, but I'm a little bit frightened. If I don't get that money, I guess it's okay. I mean, I'll just start from scratch, but I could use that money. Having said that, let's shelve that for a moment. Another thing with the computer. Brand new MacBook Pro. Brand stinking new. Only had it for a couple months, and the left speaker is blown. And it's not like I'm listening to loud music or something. I'm really pissed off about that. Brand new freaking computer. So I went online, I looked. I can replace the speaker. It could be like a piece of metals on the magnet in there, but basically I got to open up my computer. Now I could bring it to Apple, and they would do it, but I'd be without my computer for a day or more. I can take the back off myself and do this. That's probably what I'm going to end up doing. But I'm freaking pissed off about that. Next thing is the whole Patreon thing and everything else. I don't intend on doing that. As you guys know, I don't ask for anything. However, one thing I had to learn in life was accepting help from people and compliments and all those things. And I know that it makes you feel good to help out other people. So with that in mind, what I might start doing, and maybe this will be the first time I've ever done it, is just including my email address, which is mike@mikezdesign.com, mike@mikezdesign.com, in the comments, excuse me, in the description, and just write PayPal. That's my PayPal thing. If you guys want to help me, okay, excuse me, I'll accept it. But I'm not asking you for anything. Sarah and I talked about some people that we all know who are on there all the time using YouTube, I think in a way, some of them, to manipulate you. And the whole woe is me thing, this is my life is tragic, and this, that, and the other thing. And they do that, and you feel sorry for them, and then you give them money. I know some of these people, and I know that they're kind of disingenuous, some of them. But what they've done is they've decided to make YouTube their full-time gig. And they're depending on it. So they're depending on ad revenue in any other way, merchandise, everything. And I'll sell some t-shirts at some point. That's coming. That's what I wanted to use some of that money for, actually. So I understand it. I understand the goodwill nature of most human beings. If you're watching this, you've been watching this video to this point, you're awesome. I know that you like the content here. So you might say, you know what, I want to send that guy 20 bucks or something. Okay, it's happened already. I was selling sticker packs for a bit for 10 bucks, and you got a bunch of Astrovan Tribe stickers. I'm out of them. And I would throw a Mike Z Design sticker in there. I'm out of them. And which is another thing I got to spend money on. So, but there were people, instead of sending me 10 bucks, they'd send me $50, sometimes $100. It was crazy. And it was always with a note, or they'd send me a note saying, hey, it's to support the channel because you entertain me and I really like your content and I want to see you keep doing it. So thank you for that. And that's what I'm going to do. So Mike@MikeZDesign, PayPal. If you want to do that, do it. But again, I'm not asking you to do it. I'd be very grateful for it. Thank you. I will mention you in the comments. Maybe there'll be some giveaways with that or something. You know what I mean? That's a cool idea. I do this because I'm compelled to do it. You guys make me feel good about doing it. You want to hear what I have to say, what's going on in my life. You think it's interesting, great. I was reminded of it. There's this guy I really like, and I used to communicate with him through his comments, but he's just too big now. And it's Truck House Life, Timmy, up in Alaska. That guy does way more cooler shit than I do. Up there in Alaska, you know, crazy snowmobile trips and everything else. And he's a great musician, and he's got this badass rig, which I wouldn't mind kind of duplicating, doing my own version of. And he comes down to the lower 48 every year, and he's a likable guy. And he built his own little cabin house up there, and then he built another one next to it that he's living in now. And that guy's doing it. And I watched that, and I thought, well, now I understand. If I like watching him, I can understand why people like watching me. I don't show you guys everything I'm doing. I'll tell you about it in a video after the fact, but maybe I'll just start doing more of it because you guys do seem to like that. So the bike builds and things like that. And I'll pepper in more with the construction of this thing I'm doing, which I have to explain to you in that next video because some guy made a comment that I'm not explaining why I'm using the materials I'm using, but I'll explain why I'm doing this construction method in a better detail so you understand. I don't like explaining myself. So, except to the client. Anyhow, that's it. You guys have a great day. Thanks again for being here. I hope I got everything out. I hope this stew turns out okay. I'm just going to put water in it now. Be good to one another. I'll catch you in the next one.